Scott, you and I got into a unique puzzle game. Remind us a lot of Portal. This is the Entropy Center, and it's all about the world basically coming to an end and how to fix it and how to solve that. And it had a lot of cool mechanics, but dude, for me, it started off so slow. I'll give you some good news. If you do stick around, it gets really, really good. Problem is, you gotta stick through the first 2 hours, I'd say, of the game before you start to really get the concept and grasp of what is going on. And it has this portal-like element to it, but you're not going through portals. You're using this ray gun. They can kind of rewind time, help you solve puzzles, and it is a big, heavy puzzle focused experience. Dude, I was down. I loved what I was playing. There were a couple moments I was like, you're trying a little too hard for me to get that Portal vibe. What did you think of this one, Scott?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, actually. This is if Portal and Control kind of merged into one game for me. A little bit of a time during the beginning where it gets a little strong with the personality. You have this AI companion built into the gun that you're using, and it does a lot to kind of throw little jabs at you, or just have like a little bit of a cheeky attitude about it. But it didn't land in the same way that GLaDOS does in Portal. That was a very likable character over time, and this little guy just kind of gets annoying. But you get past the first few hours, like you said, and it does open up into a much more difficult territory. I found myself kind of stepping through in the earlier on stages and not really having too much of a hard time, but there is a few real roadblocks that I got through, and I clipped them just in case you need some help.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple puzzles that got hung up on for me as well. I was lingering going, okay, how am I gonna transport this box? Because there's a lot of platforms that you gotta press the button in. Then every time you get a little bit further, there's a new mechanic introduced, and then another mechanic introduced. So it kind of does help, evolve the puzzle mechanic, which is nice. So it's not the same thing over and over and over again. I had a good time with it. I think the story is really cool. A lot of lore is hidden within the terminals. You go to the computers. So and some of them, dude, shout out to Nibbles. So just play the game. You'll get that one later. It's one of those things. Yeah, I've had a good time with this one. I like a good puzzle game, but can it gravitate you to pull you in long enough that you want to find out what the rest of the story is? Because it is somewhat relatable. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are worried about our world and what's our world outcome going to be, and you can kind of see how this relates to this in the game as well. So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth, dude, and I had a big time having fun playing this one. It's been a good experience for me. Scott, we've had a great time. There isn't really too much more we can say without spoiling the game, and that's the last thing we want to do here. What are you scoring the Entropy Center?
I really like the blend of, like I said, Control plus Portal. Yeah. It has enough of a spin of its own, and the personality, the humor that you get behind it, although it gets a little grating, it is really nice. It was charming, and it has its place in my memory now. There's a huge amount of use of what's called liminal space, where you're alone and it doesn't feel like you should be. And that kind of creep factor, plus the idea of the satisfaction of crunching some of these really hard challenges as you get later on in the game. I'm really impressed with this one. I'm giving this an 8.5. There's really only the pacing issue, and that's all.
That's fair. I'm a little bit lower than you with the 7.5, and the reason being is the really strong mechanic of they wanted to be that Portal-like element, and it really took me a little bit to get used to, and it also took me a little bit out of the game. The personality just didn't quite hit home the way GLaDOS does, and he's so wild. That character is so well crafted, and this one I think was just kind of shy of hitting that mark. So yeah, it dropped me down to a 7.5.